Have you ever wondered what happens when following the law to the letter actually leads to a totally unfair result? It's a huge question, and it led to the creation of one of the most interesting parts of our legal system, equity. You can think of it as the law's conscience, a safety net designed to catch injustice when the rigid rules just don't work.
I mean, just imagine it. You've done everything you were supposed to do, followed every single rule, ticked every box, and yet the final outcome is just wrong. It feels deeply unfair. That exact situation, that conflict between what the rules say and what fairness demands, well, that's the very reason equity exists.
All right, so let's talk about why we even have this problem. For society to work, we need laws that are predictable. That's the whole idea behind the common law system. It's this massive framework built on centuries of decisions or precedents. But here's the catch. The very thing that makes it strong, its predictability and rigidity, can also be its greatest weakness. What do you do when a rule is technically legal, but applying it feels morally wrong?
And this really shows you the two sides of justice. You've got the common law, which is like a big, straight, paved highway. It's solid, it's predictable. Then you have equity, which is more like a flexible footpath running alongside it. It's not there to replace the highway. It's there to provide a detour when you see the main road is about to go right off a cliff.
And that's exactly the purpose of equity. It grew up as this parallel stream of justice, flowing right alongside the common law. Its whole job is to smooth out the rough edges and soften the sometimes harsh results of those inflexible legal rules.
Now, the key word in this formal definition is mitigate. Equity isn't about throwing out the rulebook. That would just be chaos. It's all about nuance. Its role is to step in and lessen the severity of a rule that, in one particular case, is just too much. It's the human element that stops the law from becoming a cold, unthinking machine.
I absolutely love this quote. The metaphor is just perfect. Think of a river with two distinct currents. They're in the same riverbed, that's our court system today, but they stay separate. One current is the powerful, predictable flow of the common law. The other is the more flexible, adaptable current of equity, which can navigate around obstacles to get to the right place.
So you might be thinking, does this mean a judge can just do whatever they feel is fair? Is it just palm tree justice where the outcome depends on what the judge had for lunch? No, not at all. Equity isn't a free-for-all. It's a system guided by its own well-established principles, its own rules of fairness. These guiding principles are called maxims, and they're more like wise rules of thumb than strict laws. And they just make so much sense. For example, equity looks to the intent rather than to the form. That just means it cares more about what you were actually trying to do than whether you filled out a form perfectly. Or my favorite, he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. That's brilliant, right? You can't ask a court for a fair outcome if you've been acting unfairly yourself in the same situation.
Okay, so this all sounds good in theory, but where does it actually matter in the real world? Well, you see it most powerfully in relationships built on loyalty and trust. These concepts are the absolute bedrock of our most important interactions in business and life.
And this brings us to one of equity's most incredible contributions, the fiduciary duty. This isn't just about being careful or honest. This is the highest standard of loyalty that exists in the entire legal system. It means you must put someone else's interests completely above your own. As it says here, selfishness is absolutely prohibited. Honestly, this concept is the invisible engine that makes so much of our modern world possible, because it allows us to trust people with our money, our businesses, and our well-being.
And this powerful duty pops up all over the place. A trustee managing a trust for a beneficiary, that's a fiduciary. A director running a company, fiduciary. Your lawyer advising you, fiduciary. An agent acting for you, you guessed it, fiduciary. Even business partners owe this duty to each other. In all these cases, equity acts like a shield, protecting people from having their trust abused.
Speaking of trustees, that brings us to maybe the most ingenious invention in equity's playbook, the trust. This thing is a legal marvel. Why? Because it's built on an idea that the common law would say is totally impossible, that one single asset can have two different owners at the very same time. So how on earth does that work? It's actually pretty simple. First, someone called the settlor creates the trust. They put an asset, say a house, into it. Second, the trustee takes over. Their name is on the legal title, on the deed. They manage the house, but, and here's the magic, they don't get to enjoy it. That right belongs to the third person, the beneficiary. They are the equitable owner, the one who gets all the benefits. And it's equity that stands over the trustee and makes sure they do their job. So, you see, equity isn't just a bunch of nice ideas. It has real teeth. It has a whole toolbox of powerful solutions to enforce fairness. We call these equitable remedies, and they go way beyond just making someone pay money. They are designed to actively fix an injustice.
Think about it. What if someone is about to tear down a historic building or leak your private information? In that situation, getting a check in the mail 6 months later is pretty useless, right? The damage is already done. You need a way to stop the wrecking ball before it swings. And that's the power of the injunction. It is a direct order from a court that says, stop, do not do that thing. Or sometimes it can force someone to do something. It's not about cleaning up a mess. It's about preventing the mess from ever being made. It's proactive justice.
Okay, now what about this? You've been tricked or bullied into signing a terrible contract. Is getting some money in compensation really going to make it right? No. What you really want is to just hit a giant undo button on the whole deal, to turn back time and make it like it never happened.
Well, equity has a remedy for that too. It's called rescission, and it is basically the law's time machine. It doesn't just fix the contract, it unwinds it completely. It restores everyone to the position they were in before the deal was ever made. It wipes the slate clean.
So as we wrap up, let's come back to that central image, the two streams of justice. You've got these two systems working in parallel, one providing the certainty we need, and the other providing the flexibility we need. They're in a constant, delicate dance.
And you can see that balancing act perfectly here. The common law gives us the strong, predictable skeleton for our legal system. But equity provides the conscience, the moral compass that allows the system to be truly fair. One without the other is incomplete. A skeleton with no conscience is a monster, and a conscience with no skeleton is just a blob. You need both to have a system that is both predictable and just.
Ultimately, that's the great gift of equity. It's this simple but incredibly profound reminder that true justice can't just be about mechanically following the rules on a page. It has to be about conscience, about fairness, and about achieving the right outcome.
Which leaves me with one final thought for you to chew on. If we could somehow write the perfect set of laws, rules that could account for every possible human situation, would we still need a separate system of fairness like equity? Or is that tension, that constant push and pull between the strict rule and the flexible conscience, essential to what justice really is?